When one of Hollywood's most unshakable stars walks into a studio known for confrontation, nobody expects to witness the moment that cracks his carefully built calm. But on this particular morning at The View, something felt different. Electric, unpredictable. The cameras hadn't even started rolling yet, and everyone in the room sensed it. This wasn't going to be just another interview. The air carried that peculiar stillness that comes before a storm. Crew members spoke in hushed voices, lights buzzed faintly overhead, and the audience, usually eager and chatty, whispered among themselves as Brad Pitt took his seat. He looked relaxed at first glance, dressed effortlessly in a soft grey blazer, a touch of charm in his easy smile. But up close, you could see it, the flicker of tension behind his eyes, a quiet awareness that this wasn't just another round of promotional interviews. Across from him, Sunny sat poised, composed, and deliberate. Her notes were neatly stacked with a pen resting beside them, her focus unwavering. She had that sharp look hosts get when they know a conversation is about to turn. The red recording light blinked to life. The audience cheered. The View was live. What started as small talk carried the rhythm of routine. Whoopi Goldberg led with her familiar warmth, steering the conversation through safe territory. Brad's new movie, his creative process, a few laughs about his long career. Joy Behar jumped in with a light jab about his early days in Hollywood, and the crowd chuckled. For a moment, it felt easy, but beneath that surface, Sunny was waiting. She leaned forward slightly, her voice even but deliberate, and when she spoke, the tone of the entire room shifted. "Brad," she began, her words crisp, "you've been one of Hollywood's most respected figures for decades, but some critics say you choose your moments, that you stay silent on big industry issues until it's convenient. Do you think that's fair?" The air thickened instantly. Even the laughter from seconds before seemed to evaporate. The camera zoomed in, catching the subtle change in Brad's face, the faint twitch at the corner of his jaw. He paused, choosing his words like a man stepping carefully through a minefield. "I think everyone decides how they use their voice," he said evenly. "Sometimes real change doesn't happen in front of a microphone." Sunny tilted her head, her tone soft but edged. "But when people don't see you speak, they assume you're choosing not to. Doesn't silence, especially from someone with your platform, send its own message?" The audience stirred, shifting in their seats. You could feel the tension crawling through the air, subtle but undeniable. Brad gave a tight smile that didn't reach his eyes. "I don't see silence as complicity," he replied. "There are conversations that matter, ones that don't need an audience." Sunny didn't back off. Her voice stayed calm, every word measured. "But the public doesn't witness private conversations. What they see is you, the public figure, staying out of the discussion. Isn't that a privilege in itself?" That word, privilege, hit like a spark on dry kindling. A soft murmur rippled through the crowd. Whoopi glanced up, her expression unreadable but alert. Joy's eyes flicked between them, the tension tightening with each second. Brad repeated the word under his breath, almost testing its weight. "That's a big word to throw around in a 5-minute segment," he said finally. Sunny's voice remained steady, her rhythm practiced but sincere. "I don't think anyone's saying you're doing it wrong," she said carefully. "I think they're asking you to understand what you represent. You have a voice that reaches millions, Brad. People listen to you. You can shift the conversation with a single sentence." Brad gave a short laugh, a laugh without joy. "That's a beautiful thought," he said, his tone dry and edged. "Except that's not how it works. The second you speak up about anything, it stops being about the message and becomes about you. Suddenly, you're the headline, you're the controversy, and the actual issue gets buried beneath the noise. A quiet murmur rippled through the audience, heads turning, a few people nodding, others whispering. The camera zoomed in again, catching the growing tightness in Brad's jaw, the faint twitch in his eyes. Joy Behar shifted in her seat, unease showing on her face, like she could feel the air thickening between them. Sunny leaned in slightly, her gaze steady. "Maybe that's just part of it," she said softly. "Maybe that's the price of influence. Maybe it's not supposed to be comfortable." Brad's face hardened. The politeness that carried him through the first half of the interview began to crack. "You want to talk about uncomfortable," he said, his voice sharper now, his words cutting through the air. "Try being judged for staying quiet, and then judged again when you do speak. I've been in that position more times than I can count, and I already know how that story ends." The audience's uneasy laughter flickered and died almost instantly. The tension was visible now, hanging in the lights, humming beneath every word. Whoopi tried to diffuse it, the steady hand, the calm in the storm. "Okay," she said with a light chuckle. "Let's just take a moment here." But Sunny wasn't done. Her tone was calm, but the conviction behind it sharpened. "People just want to know, Brad," she said. "When they see injustice, when they see things that clearly need to change, are you standing with them or not? That's not an ambush. It's a question." Brad leaned forward, elbows on the table, closing the space between them. His voice lowered, quieter now, but heavier. "It's not that simple. You don't know what I do when the cameras aren't rolling. You don't see where I show up, who I talk to, what I give. Just because I'm not shouting doesn't mean I'm not standing for something." Sunny tilted her head. "But you won't say it," she said, almost under her breath. That was the spark. Brad's jaw locked. The room stilled, his hands flattened against the table. And when he spoke again, the restraint was gone. "You want to know why?" he said, his voice suddenly fierce, unfiltered. "Because I'm tired of being told I'm not enough." The room went dead silent. Even the background hum of equipment seemed to pause. "I've been doing this for decades," Brad continued, the dam breaking. "I've given my time, my money, my support, to people, to causes, to stories that matter. But it's never enough. It's always, say more, do more, prove it again. I'm done proving myself to strangers who think they know who I am." The audience froze. No one clapped. No one moved. The silence had weight. Sunny opened her mouth to respond, but the words stalled somewhere between reason and reflection. For a moment, she looked less like a TV host and more like someone realizing she might have pushed too far. Brad's tone softened, though exhaustion still clung to every syllable. "I came here to talk about a film, a story about hope, about resilience, and somehow this turned into me defending whether I'm saying the right thing in the right way." A murmur stirred in the audience. Some nodded in sympathy. Others whispered, eyes wide. Sunny took a breath, her voice low but sincere. "I hear you, Brad. I do. But maybe what people wanted to hear was that same hope. From you." Brad let out a hollow, bitter laugh. "Then maybe they should stop looking for hope in actors." It landed like a slap. No one laughed. No one whispered. Whoopi stepped in gently. "Brad," she said softly, "take a breath." But Brad had already made up his mind. He looked at the audience, then at the cameras, then back at the table. His voice was flat now, steady, final. "I think I've said enough." He stood. The scrape of his chair against the floor sounded deafening. A producer offstage gestured frantically for him to sit back down, but he didn't look over. He adjusted his jacket sleeve, stepped back, and began walking toward the wings. "Brad, wait," Joy called, half rising from her chair, but her voice barely reached him. Sunny sat frozen, silently watching him leave. Whoopi exhaled softly and faced the audience, her professionalism masking only some of the shock. "Well," she said, calm but heavy, "live television. You never know what you're going to get." The applause sign blinked above the crowd, but what followed was awkward, scattered, an aftershock trying to fill the silence. Behind the scenes, the control room erupted. "Camera 3, wide shot, stay on the table." A voice barked through headsets. Crew members whispered urgently. On stage, Joy still hadn't moved. Sunny looked down at her notes, her face composed but distant. Whoopi cleared her throat, looking straight into the camera. "We're going to take a break," she said softly, controlled. "Wait with us." The screen faded to commercial.